What's up, Otakus? Thanks for joining me. Yesterday, uh, I'm having some candy, by the way, Jolly Rancher. It's my son's Halloween candy. We're actually not letting him eat Halloween candy because, yeah, we just don't want him addicted to sugar. And um, again, we kind of made a deal with him. Hey, you give this candy to us, we'll buy you a nice toy. And he'd rather have a toy than candy. Um, so I'm eating all the candy. Um, but yeah, yesterday was a really famous. So what's up? This is sort of a rerun for you, Miss. So I'm just going over my books again, going over the day yesterday, um, kind of doing sort of a deeper scan of the books. And Halloween Candy is the best. Um, just kind of give you a sense of, yesterday's video with Hyung, we had covered so many books, especially Nam Yeon Hyung. He got a short box, literally like 150 or so comics that he showed off. Awesome. Thanks, Miss O. Um, and I didn't even have a chance to count my books. We just had, we had come straight from the con after having dinner. Um, I read, I read a book to my kid, got him ready for bed, and then we kind of jumped on and talked about uh, what happened. And yeah, I just kind of was loosely organizing my books. I hadn't even um, had a chance to register my books onto my spreadsheet, which I keep. So this is just another. Uh, we're going to go through the hall again, um, talk about the day in context of the hall, and again, kind of what we paid and what we what I where I got it, what I think the grade is, and why I wanted to add it to my collection. So um, I guess I'll have to cover. We, I spent approximately $60, and at primarily two locations. Um, we got we went to, of course, Grid City Comic Show, which is a local show here in Tacoma. Tacoma is like, I want to say about 30, no, about an hour south of Seattle, and really like 40 minutes depending on traffic. But um, it's it's not a. I mean, it's a big show. It's at the Tacoma Convention Center. There are a lot of vendors. It's actually a really good show. I mean, Hyung and I were impressed. It was my first time. It was Hyung's first time. I had heard a lot about it from local collectors and Agu. I think he was the one telling me, you really should go. It's a good place to find value. There's a lot of dollar bin books, and so we went. It was a $10 admission. Parking cost $6 because we didn't stay the whole day. We stayed roughly about 4 hours. And boy, was I busy. I was just. I mean, I didn't waste any time. I was literally like just digging through as many dollar bin books as I could. And the reason I was digging for dollar bin books because um, really with you know $20, um, let's say I was to pick up a high grade book of something on my list. Um, there's a chance I could find it probably in the dollar bins. Because really, what I'm looking for, as long as it's not slabbed, isn't necessarily something, even like a $20 book, right, in high grade. That's something I could find in the dollar bins. And so I figured, you know, Unmyeong, if it's my destiny to run into such a book, that's where that effort would pay off. So rather than try to find books around what they're valued at, or even like a bargain, let's say you found a $20 book for $5, or a $20 book for $10 even. I tempted my fate with just going as low as I could. And really, there wasn't anything there that like caught my eye, because I knew even if I were to get like uh, a book that I wanted, let's say like a Neil Adams book, right? I'd be paying pretty much the entire budget on a really nice graded Neil Adams book. So rather than go that route, I decided let's just stick to value. Um, I picked up a lot. My overflow box is full now, and I've had to pull out a lot of the stuff from the drawer, put it in the overflow box, and kind of I'm still in the middle of trying to prioritize what the core collection is going to be, and you know, the Jim Lee, even the Jim Lee overflow stuff has just gotten kind of out of hand. So I'll report on that progress as we make it. But for now, really happy again. We picked up. I'm going to feature 57 books here. We probably picked up around 50 books and spent around $60. Um, but this haul is going to feature a little bit more than that, because I there were some books that Hyung graciously gifted for me. Um, stuff that he kind of promised over the course of our channel and our working together, and um, stuff from the show that he picked up. So um, a lot of stuff to get through. Okay, first book up is um, now. I got this thinking it was a Neil Adams book, but turns out it's actually a Kurt Swan cover, which is fine. I mean, it's still a Superboy book. I kind of had it on my list, um, just because I think this era of Superboy um, is really kind of cool. Because not only did Neil Adams work on it, there's just a lot of cool stories uh, coming out of the Silver Age coming out of the Silver Age. And so we have Superboy 169. And yeah, I just we paid, I think, like $250 for this, because I got this at the Future Past Vintage Collectibles booth. Um, Dave and Rachel, they have a channel on YouTube and on Instagram. Go check them out. You can find them at probably Future Past Vintage Collectibles. Just type that. Um, they're a father-daughter their father-daughter team, and they sell high grade Bronze Age books. That's sort of their mantra. But they sell everything in between as well. And first of all, Dave is really knowledgeable about books. His brother is a collector as well, and they were both there at the show. And you know, it's hard. I mean, there are a lot of good sellers out there, but it's hard to kind of know who you're dealing with. It takes time to develop that relationship. But fortunately for me, I met them at Emerald City Comic Con. I've been following their channel, and they're just great people. So, you know, uh, Hyung bought a lot of books from him. I unfortunately only bought a few. This is one of them. I think we paid $250 for this one. And again, great Kurt Swan cover there. It's just a cool cover here. Superboy crying over Clark Kent's coffin there. How can this be when Superboy and Clark Kent are the same? Um, just a really cool book. So this one could probably use a really good cleaning. Um, in terms of pressing, it looks like there's not much that could be improved with the press. And I'd put this grade at a solid 3.5. Yeah, maybe even a 4. 3.5 to a 4. It's pretty, but it does need to be cleaned. It's rather, I think, you know, the color of the covers obviously is dull to begin with, but it just looks, the dirt on the book makes it look a little um, worse off than it could potentially look. So anyway, really happy with this pickup, Superboy 169, and it's not like I'm trying to pick up a long run of Superboy, but anytime we can add something um, from this era related to Superman, Superboy, Superman family, um, we're happy to do that. All right, so that's our first book, and I'm just gonna kind of deposit the books in this box as we go through them. So a place to put them. The next book we picked up was um, Superman Zero. Now, this is like a quarter bin book, 50-cent bin book. It's not really worth all that much because it was just so overprinted in the 90s. But that's kind of why, for me, it's desirable. I actually have now the Batman, Wonder Woman, and now Superman Zeros from this, the Trinity Zeros. And it's just a cool thing to have, you know, because it's inexpensive. Um, I think every collector should have it. It's just kind of a cool, you know, the zero books are always, it's part of the, you know, it's part of the canon. Sequentially, it's out of whack, but you know, generally on some of these like apps, you look for the numerical sequence, and they'll start with zero. So this is the first thing you kind of run into on a lot of the comic book apps. So just a cool thing to pick up for $1. Um, I know I could have picked this up probably cheaper, 50 cents or so, but I figured, you know, why not for $1? So I was happy to pick up Superman Zero. Now the grade on this is not that. I mean, it's high grade, except when you get down here, there's some like splotchy printing error there or something. So that kind of takes off some points on the grade. So everything else looks pretty good. I put it at a solid VF plus, near mint, minus. If it weren't for those printing dots again. The next thing we're going to look at is this is a book from my childhood. And yeah, I was in middle school. And actually, no, when was this? 88. Yeah, I was in middle school. And this was right as I was getting into X-Men, right? Like, I was kind of into X-Men. Actually, it was in the sort of the middle of me being into X-Men. And I just remember this great Art Adams cover just attracting me at the comic shop. I remember getting this at the comic shop, um, attracting me to buy this book. It was just a beautiful Art Adams cover. Great. sort of team. The X-Men are kind of flying out of this portal here. You got the X-Babies. So I thought, yeah, this looks like a really cool um, book to own. So I remember having this book. And then, I don't know what happened to it over the years, but um, I always kind of, in the back of my mind, there's a few books that kind of stick with me that I had in my collection, um, where I'm like, kind of, I don't, like, I'm not dying to get those back. Um, and they're not expensive books. But I think as time goes on, the images and the memories of reading that book and having it in my collection, that memory, um, it just continues to linger. And so I think at some point I'm going to be like, all right, let's pick up as many of those books that I read as a kid as we can. And I picked up, well, actually, that's kind of where my focus is these days. I'm just kind of like trying to pick up the runs that I was reading, like the books that I was reading, and the kind of complete those runs as I can. And I'm sure at some point I'll open them up and just start reading them all. But when I find some time, but this is just one of those books again had in my collection. I just remember this being a really entertaining story because of the X Babies, and yeah, you get like a glimpse of that late '80s team here, with the Blue Dazzler, uh, Psylocke, unsexy Psylocke right there, um, and Longshot. Rogue had a crush on Longshot on this team, and like Rogue and Dazzler had a my memory serves me right. Rogue and Dazzler had a crush on Longshot. They were kind of like always trying to out compete each other for his attention. He was kind of indifferent to both of them. Havoc was a big member of the X-Men during this period. So I would put this grade. It's a high grade book. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a little dent here on what is essentially a you know kind of a square bound book. I don't know if that can get pressed out. I would imagine it could, or maybe it would be better not to press it. But you probably need a backing board to press this kind of book, like a thicker backing board. Um, but I mean, it's not a book I would want to like. For me, having this in a 9.8 doesn't necessarily make any difference. If this were mid grade, you want it in like just presentable, like you want to be able to enjoy it, but having it be like pristine is a pride. Hence, that's why we're digging in the dollar bins, right? Dollar bins is just to pick them up raw, whatever condition, and have them. Therefore, we weren't focused on condition. I mean, if it was like beat up to the point where like, oh, okay, that's not something I want to add. If it's giving off like deteriorating vibes, we didn't pick it up. But for the most part, all of these are like fine to very fine condition. So, a couple low, like that Superboy book, given its age, makes sense that they'd be lower grade. But for the most part, all the modern books are um, in that range, mid to high grade. I'd put that in the high grade category. All right. So this next one has its issues, um, but I think overall I'm very happy with this pickup because it's one more um, sort of check off the list, and that is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 11, um, The Face of Doom. And this is not one of the better covers in the run for sure. Cover art isn't that great, but it is a pretty significant issue. Now, this would stand to benefit greatly from a press. So if if my comic bro Roger has the bandwidth to do some more books, this would be a book I think I'd want to send him because it's. I mean, here we go. I'll just kind of show you what the book looks like at an angle. I don't know if you can. I guess you can't see it. Um, well, maybe you can. Okay. So first of all, it's got some fading and wear there, but more than that, you can kind of see it's warped, like it was exposed to moisture at some point. Um, and it just kind of is curling the page. But luckily, there's a little bit of a crease here, but it's not color breaking. It's got spine ticks, but there's just this sort of like, it's not even waviness, but there's just like portions of the book that are kind of warped. So yeah, I mean, this is a um, ideal candidate for a press because as of now, it's definitely like in the mid grade range, but with the press, it could get into the high grade. Um, so this would be a book that would stand to benefit from the press, and that's one thing I've learned from Roger is um, not every book is worth uh, the effort of pressing. Like if you got a book with a lot of creasing, um, pressing is it might improve it just a little bit, but it's not going to overall do much benefit for it. Whereas this, it's not really creasing; it's just sort of this like warped, um, moisture exposed book. Where if you flattened it and pressed out all these little micro curvatures, it would again make the book look like a completely different collectible. So that's something we could do. Again, a dollar for a dollar. Uh, you should pick up this any issue from this run for a dollar. As long as it's in like mid grade, you should just pick it up. And so that's what we did. This is um, we picked it up. Again, mid grade needs a in need of a press and clean, but pretty cool for a dollar. So pretty much the entirety of this. I mean, if you calculate what I spent, you know, $60 for 50 books, it's everything's a little bit over a dollar, but for the most part, because we spent some money on some bigger books, the the vast majority of this, I'd say 95% of this haul is a dollar book. So everything I'm pretty much showing, if I don't mention the price, just assume I got it for a dollar. I'll probably just focus on the price. If we paid more than a dollar for it, I'll let you know. But um, everything's pretty much a dollar. This one, I couldn't believe. So this one came from a vendor, also local. Um, really, my first time buying from this gentleman, older. So a lot of the vendors there were just older gentlemen. You could tell this was kind of like their side hustle in retirement. For some of them, obviously, hey, what's up, Manuel? Uh, Thanks for joining, man. Glad you could join. So we're just going over my haul, and anyway, so this vendor, he had a bunch of books priced at $3, but basically, if you bought 10 or more, it would become a dollar, and I mean, how easy is that to find 10 books, right? So I easily found 10 books. I think ended up buying 13 books in all from this guy. It was $13. So these ended up being a dollar each. And some of these I just couldn't believe they were in the box or I was getting them for a dollar. This one is, it's got some issues. It's definitely got some spine ticks. It's got a little bit. I don't know if it's the bag or the comic. I think it is the comic. Yeah, it's the comic. Um, there's a little bit of. It's a black cover first of all, so there's a little bit of wear on the spine, but no creasing. Just again some spine ticks, some wear. What we have here is Daredevil 197, and this is the first appearance of Lady Deathstrike. Just love that bullseye there, cover of bullseye. Um, this artist attempted to do Japanese kanji, and I applaud the effort, but um, it's yeah, it's just basically he's just basically copying what he's seeing. It's not necessarily accurate or yeah, that doesn't look natural. But other than that, I mean, if we actually got rid of that, it'd be a pretty cool looking cover. But those the kanji is a distraction. I don't want to say it's poorly written, but you can just tell it's not. Looks like this was what was this? I don't I want to say no. I'll have to look up who the artist is on 267. Um, but anyway, applaud the effort, just poor execution. Um, Now this one we got at Heroes Comics, and so I've actually purchased. End up purchasing some of like some really big. I don't think I got that. Like this one I got from Heroes Comics. I think I paid 120 for this. Definitely higher than mid grade. I want to put it at like a 6.0. I'd say it's a solid 6.0. Doesn't need a press. It looks like it's been pressed. It looks like everything you could do to it to enhance its appearance that it was done. You could tell it was cleaned and pressed. So, um, yeah, I think if we send it in for grading, we'd get a 6.0. But anyway, Heroes Comics. Uh, he's got good stuff. He's got really good stuff, and so that's where we started. We started our day at his booth because he had dollar bins. He rarely brings dollar bins to the conventions and stuff. What's up, Kenneth? How you doing, buddy? Just going over the hall, man. Got a lot of good stuff to show off. Um, so he never has dollar bins usually. He's just exclusively slabs, and he brings all the stuff from his shop that are, priced, and he does like 50% off the regular price, which is still pretty good if you're looking for deals on higher grade run like material. But obviously he had a dollar bin there, and you could tell. I don't know how this got there. Maybe he did like a grade inventory, and he thought, okay, um, this is maybe a fine copy that goes into the dollar bin. I don't know what the thinking was, and I even asked. So they're the same artist here. Um, I even asked the guy, "Hey, is this book?" I just wanted to, confirm because um, it was in a bag and board. I switched it up, changed it, but it was in a bag and board. And I said, "Is this really $1?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." What we have here is Return of the Jedi #1 newsstand, and it's fabulous. I think this is actually a VF Plus copy, solid VF Plus. Look at the spine there. Corners are shot, no creases. It's a good looking copy. Again, I picked this up for $1 at the Heroes Comics dollar bins, and Very happy with that. I mean, this is. I also want to get the Darth Vader cover, in terms of like childhood nostalgia. This is a. I think normally this is a $20 book, $15 or $20 book. Um, so to find it in the dollar bin, it's just like, wow, great, I'll take it. All right, this next one we picked up, we're excited to pick up, but then on closer look, it does have like a tiny little tear, right there. If you look at there, this is Transformers Universe number 3. This was a cover buy, and it was just really kind of like, oh, I like it. I just put it in the pile. I didn't really. We weren't going through and examining grades and whatnot. We just kind of like assumed, hey, it's going to be in the fine VF range. But with that tear, this is definitely kind of drops the grade down quite a bit. But again, we're not that concerned about that. It's not a big book. This is just a cool thing to have in my collection. I have issue 1. This is, I think there's 4 issues in this universe run, featuring the Dinobots there. Grimlock, Slag, and what was the other guy's name? I forget, but love the Dinobots. There's a 4th Dinobot. There's the Pterodactyl that was introduced later, right? Anyway, I was their voices just were so funny, um, especially Grimlock. They were sort of comic relief, but they also came and saved the day at the end, right? Um, so it was really cool. Yeah, just total cover buy. Again, got a little tear there, but if that tear weren't there, it would be still a solid VF minus. It's got spine ticks. Beautiful looking book though, overall. Yeah, maybe fine plus VF minus, but with the tear, definitely I'll put it in the fine minus range. All right, continuing on. Again for $1. Now, unfortunately, I want to say unfortunately, up to now, everything I picked up is new to the collection. Don't have, I didn't have it in my collection, and we've added it. This particular copy is my second um, copy of it. And in terms of grade, I think it's not as good as my first copy, but they're both in the same kind of VF range. Just got some minor spine ticks. Overall, everything um, looks good. And this is X-Men 53. It's the first appearance of Onslaught. Um, this is a key book, and I guess it's a little bit of a speculation book on my part, because I think Onslaught's something, unless you've read or are reading comic books where Onslaught's been introduced maybe multiple times. Um, it's a character I think the general public wouldn't have knowledge of, but it's a very significant villain. In fact, if you a lot of people think like, oh yeah, Mr. Sinister's like a cool villain, and he is, or like Apocalypse. Obviously, everybody thinks Apocalypse is like one of the core villains that he is, but we're talking about just like powerful, like villains. This is, I think, the dark persona. It's like the inner depths of Professor X's dark like soul that manifests. I forget what the how they explain what Onslaught is. It's basically like his inner like psychic energy that comes to life and stuff, like his dark psychic energy or something. But yeah, um, got a great Great cover as well. I think this is Andy Cooper does a cover here. And again, what so the two copies I have are both newsstand editions, which is why I picked them up. I picked them up specifically because they're newsstand editions. Um, and I'm trying to pick up exclusively newsstand stuff. That's harder to do, but that's kind of where I'd rather have a newsstand than a direct, if that makes sense. So if it's something like, let's say I found this with a direct edition, I wouldn't have picked it up. But because it's a 90s newsstand, I'm like, yeah, that's something we'll pick up. And I don't mind having two copies of it. I probably should stop doing that though, picking up doubles, but this is a double I don't mind having because it's such a key book. All right. This next one is as I was heading into the comic show, I watched Sleepy Reader's video, I think his most recent video, where he did a haul video and he mentioned that he had picked up um, the entire four-issue set of World of Krypton. And I just remember thinking, well, I have a very high grade copy of issue 2 in that run. I was thinking, yeah, I should pick up that. It's basically, like an origin story. It's a origin of sort of Jor-El. Superman's getting a glimpse into his father's past, some of the events that led up to the destruction of Krypton. And I just thought it would be it's something would want, right? Just to read and have in the collection. You've got great Ross Andrew art on this run. Um, just real good Bronze Age, Bronze Age Superman book. So yeah, I picked it up. Again, we didn't really focus on the condition. I thought it was in actually better condition than, but looking at it now, it definitely has issues that probably put it uh, below mid grade because it's got corner crease here. It's got really like a bad crunch here that goes into some of the interior pages. It is a newsstand. I think you know this was printed in the exclusive newsstand. So there aren't any directs per se. Um, World of Krypton #1. Uh, Not really. Don't need this in high grade. Just want 4 copies of it. For just want to complete the run. Um, Again, with the press, it would look better, but that crunch is really sort of the only issue that you know. Again, with the press, it look better, but you'd still have the creases there. So again, probably a 4 or 5 copy um, with the press, 4 to 4 5 copy for that book. All right, moving right along. Yeah, Lex Luthor at the back. This is not something I picked up. This is something I've had, but I love this Lex Luthor cover. Um, it's the Donald Trump. Uh, what was it called? Art of the Deal book homage. He just kind of looks like uh, I'm trying to think of the wrestler's name. Is it the? He looks like a wrestler from the past. Um, all right, we're gonna get into now the artist books. So those are sort of the books that we picked up that aren't necessarily by artists I collect. Um, these are more of the artists I collect, and I've come to realize Todd McFarlane is not one of my like favorite artists. Let me rephrase that. I have a top 10 artists that I collect. Okay, the ranking of top 10 artists. And and Todd McFarlane is not in the top 10. Now, is he in the top 20? Maybe. He's definitely in the top 30 of my favorite artists. But even though he's not among my top favorite artists, he is someone I collected. He is someone I definitely, in the past, when I was collecting, thought was one of my favorite artists. He was definitely like in the moment of reading these books and in the moment of when he was doing books. He definitely was my favorite, one of my favorites, right? Like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, those guys were just like gods, to a 15, 17-year old kid. Even in college, I mean, up to college, right? Like, even throughout college, like when those guys launched Image, they were just like the coolest creators. And so, in that sense, Todd McFarlane is somebody I collect. Uh, so I love his ASM run. I love his Spider-Man run. I love his early Spawn. These are things that if they're for $1 or that I just pick, I can find them at at discount or on in terms of like low value, like find them for $1, $3. In that sweet spot of three or lower, I'll pick it up. So before we show up that book, I forgot to. We picked this up at Destiny City Comics. This is a VF copy. Yeah, just some spine wear here. Pretty nice looking book. This is a reprint, Marvel Tales 190. It looks like it's reprinting ASM 50, the first appearance of Kingpin. Great John Romita Sr. cover there, which is the reason we picked it up. I mean, it's cover by essentially. Don't mind having classic Romita covers in my collection. I've got a growing list of Marvel Tales books, and so that's just a cool one to now have. Newsstand. Doesn't hurt that it's a newsstand either. So, Marvel 25th anniversary book as well. How cool is that? Okay, so yeah, don't mind paying $1 for that. So going over my Todd McFarlane haul, we've got, now this is actually high grade. I put this at a VF plus, possibly near mint. We've got Amazing Spider-Man, Skating on Thin Ice. Now we all know Todd is a hockey fan. He played hockey. And so he brings that kind of passion for hockey. It's an Edmonton Oilers shirt on this kid. And they've stumbled upon cigarettes, a hypodermic needle, looks like some kind of pill, maybe they're opioids or something, and beer. They've stumbled upon beer, cigarettes, and like hardcore drugs. But I just thought it was a really cool cover, right? You got the McFarlane kids with Spider-Man just looking like he's ready to fight crime, but he's just fighting the anti-drug campaign of the late 80s. Fun cover. All right, so picked that one up. This one we picked up at Destiny City Comics for $1.50. This was same Destiny City Comics, but from the dollar bin. This was actually priced out at $1.50 in their non-dollar bins, but it's priced pretty much at $1. So picked it up. I mean, $1.50 for that kind of McFarlane book is something I'll do every day, all day. This is $1. We found Actually, he had several newsstand copies of this. I just picked out the best sort of condition one. This is definitely in the high grade. I'll put it a VF plus, solid VF plus. That's Spider-Man #6 newsstand. Again, just a beautiful looking copy there. Great cover. Yeah, all these McFarlane covers are just really classic. Love the Hobgoblin. Um, yeah, that's a really good Hobgoblin there. So yeah, just this is another check off our run, and this is one like if we had found it in direct edition, I would not have picked it up, but because it was a newsstand, um, that's a no-brainer for $1. Okay, this also we picked up primarily because it was $1 and it was newsstand, and that is Spawn #6. Todd McFarlane cover, early Spawn, again, 90s newsstand. I think if you find anything, from the 90s, especially the early Image run in a newsstand, pick it up. Just pick it up because um, it is significantly, like, the ratio is significantly lower than this direct edition. There's really, um, these copies are a lot rarer than their direct counterparts. So just for that fact alone, you should pick these up. But yeah, this one's surprisingly very high grade. Um, it's got a little bit of a kind of a crunch, I guess, spine kind of, but that could it's not color breaking, and you could definitely well, it's just slightly color breaking, but with the press again, this you could probably get a 9.0 with the press on this. Doesn't have any other issues outside of that. I haven't looked at the back. I mean, the back could have issues, but just judging from the front, it's beautiful looking, high grade looking book. So nice addition. So yeah, those were our Todd McFarlane ads. Just 3 books. Um, now, uh, going back to the top 10. So basically everything here from here on out. Um, for the most part is going to be by artists in my top 10 artists list. And if you look at the top of the list, Jim Lee's at the top, and then Neil Adams, and then third on the list is John Byrne. And we picked up a lot of Byrne here, um, and a lot of, again, these are just all the top 10 artists that I collect. So we'll start off here with early Marvel Age. This is a Marvel Age number 14. And I just love it when Byrne doesn't do it all the time, but he does it consistently, and he does it um, more often. I mean, he does it, uh, ever so often. So, condition on this book, a solid VF. It could use a press and a clean, but yeah, just a great. So, what I meant to say is, like, he doesn't do this all the time, but he does it ever so often, and he inserts himself into the book on the cover. So he'll like drop in and say hi, or be carried off by characters, or in this instance, he's just kind of playing with the Fantastic Four. This is an homage, obviously, to FF1, and yeah, it's just a great cover by him. And it's an interview inside. John Byrne interview, previews of Power Pack, and 6 from Sirius. So again, the era I collected is from 1984. Um, it's a great looking book. Love it. Love it, love it. All right. Moving on. Got that for $1. Moving on. Another great Marvel Age cover by John Byrne. We have Namor looking rather, you know, looking dapper. Got that cigarette going. Got the pocket, the pocket scarf there. uh, this is a great cover. This is also solid. I put this in the well. It's got a little corner crunch. This we got it. Hold on. I hate when this happens. We've got a bent corner here that I didn't catch, but we got to remedy that. I can't leave it like that. We got to flatten it out. And at least, so this is obviously a little bit of a disappointment, but I mean, like I said, it's going to be essentially a lot of this kind of missed stuff, right? For $1, you can't expect it to be flawless. That's why the sellers put it in the dollar bin to begin with, right? All right, that's decent. We're not going to get any better than that without a press. So this book could definitely, it needs a press now, and it could stand to benefit. But um, is it worth going through that effort? Maybe at some point. I've always wanted to get into pressing books and stuff when I have the opportunity to do so. In the current state, the 4-year-old, that's probably not likely. All right, looks much better. Okay, we had just that corner flap. It's not color breaking because it was on the white part. There's a little black part there that does break. You can see it right. I don't know if it comes into focus ever. You can see creases into a little bit of the black part there. But for the most part with the press, it probably not even be noticeable. So if we got this pressed, right now it's VF minus maybe with a press, um, VF plus potential. Okay. This one definitely needs a clean. As you know, among this burn stuff I collect, I'm trying to pick up. So I've picked up all the Burn Superman. Is it Wolverine in there? I mean, is in this issue? Yeah, just plus coverage of the Wolverine. That's a great point. This was what 1989. Yeah. So this was well into the Wolverine run, and this was just showing preview of Wolverine stuff. So Manuel, I can tell, um, you know, back in '89 when Wolverine came out with the ongoing series, that was like game over, man. Every collector kind of like shifted. Okay, from just picking up X-Men every month to X-Men and Wolverine every month, right? It was like that extra thing you had to pick up. Um, so it was definitely Wolverine mania going on during the late '90s into the '90s, late '80s into the '90s. All right, back to this one. This is in desperate need of a clean. There's just this funky stain on it. I don't know what it is. Pull it out, take a look. I think it's just dirt or ink or something. You can see it right there on the surface of the book. See that? It's like a dark. Now it's not mildew. It's just like ink, I think. Um, I'm just hoping it'll wipe off whatever it is. Oh, what is that? Looks like it something. Yeah, I'm just gonna assume it's some kind of ink that rubbed off during the during the printing of the book. Um, because it just looks like it was rolled and it kind of rolled down into the other letters. That's the only thing I can think of that would cause that. That's kind of disappointing though. But again, newsstand for $1. I'm not going to complain. It's got a big crease here as well. This is a filler for now, but I think this is a. I do believe this is a key issue because it's the return of the Beyonder post Secret Wars. Um, but again, just a nice burn cover there. Newsstand. Another check off the run. So we picked up 288. That is not good condition here. This is also not good condition, but no creases at least. Just some spotty stuff. It's desperate need of a clean. This is probably in the V fine plus range. Not bad, not horrible, but 246. A lot of Doom covers in this one. Ah, we picked up 290. Not Doom on this one, but Skrull. A Skrull battling Reed Richards there. And again, I've just loved this She-Hulk team from the late 80s. And yeah, love Burn stuff. Okay, this one, really happy with this pickup. This is in the VF range as well. Doesn't need a press per se, just could probably use nice wiping, cleaning. Presents as high grade already, so got Wolverine 17 newsstand. John Byrne. John Byrne only did, I think, 2 books um, in this early Wolverine run, and this is one of the 2, I think. Um, and this is what I'm talking about. Like Wolverine in this early part, it was just so like everybody was excited about it. Um, because the comic book was pretty violent. It wasn't. You could tell it was kind of targeted at an older audience, um, but it was showing a lot of um, kind of risque stuff for kids to be reading. But again, newsstand copy, Wolverine 17, Wrath of the Rough House, Wolverine getting hit there. This is a great burn cover. Love it. All right, so what else we got here? I want to kind of put books on top now. Moving right along, we've got She-Hulk. I'm trying to. I mentioned in my last video that I'm trying to pick up the entire run of She-Hulk if I can now. But I think for now I'm gonna kind of hold off on really trying to pick up a lot of it, just because of a space issue. But when I'm retired and I've kind of settled, I know where I'm gonna be until I die, kind of situation. It's I'm not gonna try and go heavy on She-Hulk. I'm gonna just try to pick up She-Hulk $1 book at a time. Like a 50-cent find or dollar book at a time. maybe even like a ratty quarter cup, like reader's copy. I don't mind, but we just don't want to pay a lot for it. And that reminds me, so a bit of sad local news here. Um, Jeff from Ancient Comics has closed the shop. Ancient Comics is not around anymore. And for the local collectors, you'll know Jeff had this amazing 25-cent bin that he was always putting kind of mid to lower grade books. Or sometimes you could actually find high grade books in there, but he just would put in books that he figured didn't amount to much in terms of value because either because of grade, or two, because it was like 90s insignificance books, right? So that shop's gone now. So a big source of really cheap books is gone. I used to go there all the time just to hunt for Jim Lee books, things like and fillers for runs, and where grade isn't necessarily the most important thing. Just having the book in some kind of condition is. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was a little bit uh, disappointing. Hopefully, he comes back. I think in my conversations with him, what he was planning was to sell the business and move to Thailand. He was going to Thailand one way or another. The question is whether he'd be just going on an extended hiatus, coming back and opening the shop, or if he sold the business, or sold all his books to a collector. So I'm thinking if he's gone to the point of unregistering his business and all that, um, and I heard from Ago that he put his books in storage or somewhere. So it seems to me he's just taking a break, put all his books in storage. He's not doing the business for a while, and he's just going to live in Asia for a bit. So he's living in Philippines or Thailand or somewhere, um, for the unforeseeable future, or for the foreseeable future, I should say. Um, so hopefully he comes back. I miss him, and definitely miss the shop. But anyway, this is this got issues. It's got some like nicks, some fading here on the spine, but the corners are sharp, no creasing. So again, I'm putting the fine plus VF minus range. Um, Great cover there. Burn cover. She-Hulk with Spider-Man. Sometimes I do that just to get the Spider-Man perspective. Hi kids, it's my third issue. Time for an obligatory guest star, and here he is now. That's cool. All right, so She-Hulk, Burn She-Hulk. We got. This is just a beautiful cover, man. Love it. Got Burn, Wonder Woman 106. This is high grade, solid VF plus. Doesn't need a press or anything. Just looks beautiful. It's got maybe a couple spine ticks, but outside of that, it's just phenomenal. So Wonder Woman 106, love it. All right. Speaking of Wonder Woman, all of you know another thing I'm on the hunt for every time I go out. But I'm on the hunt for it in the $2, like we're wanting to spend like $2 to $1, maybe even up to $3 if it's really like the condition's strong and it's a good looking book. And we found one for $1. This was in the dollar bins. I forget where I found it, but it was there. I think this might have been the $3 book that we got for $1. One of the books, but it's a great cover. It says "Meet the Boys," and there's a guy here with a T-shirt, "Eat the Rich." Um, just a nice cover there. Ball on Wonder Woman. God, man, I love. I mean, I love Wonder Woman, but I gotta say, Ball and Wonder Woman is just breathtakingly incredible. Yeah, so amazing. This is a high grade copy. I mean, this is a near mint copy. This came bagged and boarded in the dollar bin, so really fortunate to pick this one up. Yeah, I really feel like this is one of the like yeah. I mean, if you're talking about books where you're like, oh yes, like when you're hunting, you're like, oh yes, and you find it, definitely um, brought about that excitement. This next one as well. Um, you'll for most of you who collect, you know that Superman Batman #8 is was recently kind of in the I think the top 10 list because it's the return of Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, and that return was kind of uh, hinted or featured in the Flash movie, and that drove up the sort of the demand of that book, Superman Batman #8. I have that edition. This is, I believe, the B cover. I don't know if it's a second print. It could be, but it's definitely just a variant cover of that key issue. So we have Superman Batman #8. We have the Trinity cover by Michael Turner. Man, is that a beautiful cover. So yeah, this elicits the same kind of response. Ooh, wow. So when we found this, I was super pleased. This is also very high grade, and I'm just really fortunate to pick this up for $1. Um, yeah, beautiful looking book. Love that Trinity cover. Yeah, but yeah, Turner's another great uh, artist. These Bolland and Turner are both in my top 10 favorite artists for sure. Um, and these are books. They're in the era of books that I Turner's a little later, but Bolland's definitely in the era I collected. But I wasn't focused in collecting him back then. I'm focused in collecting him now. And Turner's another guy who, as we got back into collecting, is somebody just his artwork I fell in love with. So um, I try to pick up as much Turner Bolland stuff as I can these days. Unfortunately, we didn't. I mean, we didn't run into a lot of Bolland and uh, Turner that we could pick up for $1, but you know, we'll continue to do so as we move forward. I just gotta somehow find more space before we do more of these dollar bin run books. Okay, um, another Turner cover here. This in the VF range, VF plus VF range. This one is just a beautiful cover here. Identity Crisis #2. Beautiful cover. Again, these are both for $1. We'll do that all day long. Turner books. All right, now we're getting into um, Mark Silvestri. Mark Silvestri is somebody who's just been from when I was early on collecting because he was doing X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, when I started collecting X-Men or started reading X-Men. He was the guy doing X-Men. And he penciled The Fall of Mutants, he penciled Inferno during his run. Um, and then, he went on to Image, and he had him doing Cyberforce, uh, Cyblade, all these great characters from his company. So Mark Silvestri has always been one of my uh, top favorite artists, and so there was a there's what's interesting is there's a book I've always had my eye on. I never could run into it. I've never run into it, even though if I'm looking through King Conan or King Conan, I look for it. It's just never there. Um, but this was again from the vendor where it was a $3 book, but if you buy more than 10, it drops to a dollar a book. So we got this for $1, and kind of had to do a double take. I was like, really? And I kind of took it out. I was like, okay, I think this is the book. And then I looked it up. It was the book. Um, and that is King Conan, number 13. This is Mark Silvestri's first cover art. It's his first cover. So newsstand. This is beautiful. This is beautiful yellow cover, no creases. This is high grade. There's a little bit of a spine tick there, two spine ticks, um, but outside of that, so I put this in the it was a maybe VF minus range, VF plus to VF. I don't think. I mean, this could stand to benefit from a press for sure, but again, with that press, it'd still be I think a solid VF minus copy, but it's beautiful. Got Silvestri, early Silvestri art right there on King Conan for $1. So this was, this could easily be uh, book of the hall on any given day, especially for $1, right? A book like this, but we've got we've got our book of the hall for sure in this run. So gonna get to that when we get to it. All right, so all this other stuff, kind of fine range here. We've got Uncanny X-Men 265. That's just another check off the X-Men run. This one we picked up a second copy. Still decent grade. I'd say this is a VF plus VF grade. But I have this book already, so it's kind of like, sometimes you dig through and you just pick out books and you like, oh, Silvestri X-Men, we pick that up for $1, which makes sense, right? But um, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I've got two copies of 266 now, or sorry, 226 now. Great cover. Got the X-ray, X-Men being X-rayed. X-Men X-rays. All right. This next one, we had this issue, but we had the Stanley Tucci cover, which was not really an attractive cover. Definitely, the Silvestri cover was hotter, and that's Cyblade She. This was a sort of a team up between independent companies at the time, and yeah, this is a book I wanted when I was. This was sort of the more sought after variant because of the Silvestri art. I should say the Silvestri cover art. But when I saw this for $1, it sparked that, man, this is a book that I wanted as a kid. Now I get to add it for $1, really less than what it went for at cover price, right? So I really feel blessed to. Now it does have some issues. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 color breaking spine ticks, but corners are sharp. Everything else looks beautiful. So put it in the VF minus range. All right. So what else? we're getting into my Jim Lee books now. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, um, you know that I currently I have 200 and what was it last count? 256 Jim Lee books. I have my checklist up, so I'm just gonna do a quick count here. I have 256 Jim Lee books in the collection, and I've added I've added some more. So we've what's up? What's up, comic kid? How you doing, buddy? Loved your Frazetta. Loved your Sarah Frazetta content, man. That was cool that you got to hang out with her and um, promote her promote her book. That was awesome. Um, so anyway, I have 256 Jim Lee books. We we're, we picked up some more, so we're checking off things now on the Jim Lee collection. And um, this is a book that probably wasn't on my isn't on my and I'm still yet to figure out what this book is. It's like an anomaly. I can't find the book. It's just weird. I'm trying to put it's volume. I'm pretty sure it's volume 350. Um, but that would make it this. That would make it the wedding of Batman and Catwoman, right? And I already know what the Batman. So this isn't. It's got to be volume two then. Maybe it's volume two. Let's see here. It's got to be volume two, right? Yeah. And I'm just wondering if there's a. Oh, there is. Okay, so there is a. Oh, okay. So it is. It's the variant. Uh, okay, so it's volume two. It's the variant. It's a battle between Batman and Superman. So we figured it out. All right. 256 Jim Lee books. Yeah. Value? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of value there. I think the most expensive book would be my 9.8 San Diego Comic Con foil of Action Comics 1000. Like monetarily, that's probably the most. In terms of my favorite, it's the Sky Sign Sketch Jim Lee, Superman 204, Batman 608 second print, The Mirror. That's signed and sketched by Jim. Didn't get the mirror grades. It would have been awesome if we got the mirror grades, but we didn't get the mirror grades. But still, that's just invaluable to me. Those two in my collection. But yeah, I mean, Jim Lee books outside of like the ratio variants and stuff, they don't really command that high of a value. Um, and that's a good thing. I think it's good that there aren't really like extremely exorbitant Jim Lee books that are unattainable because of. I mean, there are some um, that they're just really rare ratio variants that are going for like $200, but even 200, I feel like that's not like 200, $300 for a ratio variant. It's not that steep. Nothing like $1,000 or anything like that. So Jim Lee is fairly accessible. I feel like most collectors, if you can focus on it, you could probably pick up 200, $300 easy, right? So that's kind of cool. But anyway, we picked up Batman 50, and this is a variant cover. It's not by Jim. Well, let me back up. The artist is Daughtry. Uh, I don't know exactly what his first name is. Um, Yeah, it's by an artist whose last name is Daughtry. And what's interesting about this is Jim Lee inked Daughtry. It's Jim Lee on inks, which is this you never. It's rare. I think he inked Los Portacio a couple times in the '90s. He's inked. I think even inked Todd McFarlane on one of the Spawn runs or something. But it's rare that Jim Lee says, "Oh yeah, I'll ink." But that's what we have here. It definitely has Jim Lee vibes because of the inking. I think just a little bit. The pose definitely has the Jim Lee vibes, but you can see down here the signature section. It's Daughtry, inked by Jim Lee, colored by Alex Sinclair. So just one of those weird. Now, what I noticed after I bought the book, again, it would be a near mint copy, but it has this sort of printing. I'm assuming that's a printing flaw. It's just got this like, looks like it's snowing just along this line here, but it's some kind of like it came off the roller just a little weird. And it's a printing error type issue. Um, this is the second book that's kind of had that after kind of doing a second take on these books. No big deal, I probably paid $1 for that book anyway, so not a big deal. So that's the first Jim Lee kind of quote Jim Lee book, the inked by Jim Lee. It's a variant cover. Um, this one in hindsight, I kind of like, I should have probably held off on it, but I picked it up. This is Carl Part. This is another great example of Jim Lee inking. Jim Lee was inking Carl Potts on this initial Punisher original run. For the first 3 issues, it was Carl Potts doing covers and Jim Lee inking. And then I think from issue 4, Jim Lee takes over just all the artwork in the book. So Jim Lee becomes the artist. Carl Potts focuses on writing, which is a good thing. But yeah, this is Carl Potts art and inked by Jim Lee. You got it. You can see it right there in the corner. Let me magnify that for you. Lee Potts. So not the best artwork there, but again, the other check off the Jim's Punisher War Journal run. Now this next book, along with that Return of the Jedi book I found in the dollar bin, this was another like double take. Why is it in here kind of book? Now it does have issues. It's got just a few spine ticks, very minor, that do break color. And it's got a crease that breaks color, but it's very, very not very noticeable. If you go up close, you can see it. You'll be able to see it. You see that crease right there? And I'm going to point it out to you. It's this long, well, where is it? I wish I could do this better. I go this way. Okay, this way. There's a long crease right there. You can see right there, right? And then just, yeah, again, like I said, some kind of minor spine ticks there on the spine. But really beautiful book. We picked up Punisher War Journal. This is, I believe, his first work with Scott Williams. So this is significant because it's Punisher War Journal first battle and team up, I think. And it's also significant because it's the first Jim Lee and Scott Williams team up. So they would go on to work for their entire careers together and really make a brand. I think they're the Lee pencil, William ink, Sinclair color. It is just a DC brand now. So you're getting quality with those three are working on a book. But yeah, first cover by those two great artists on this book. So yeah, this is definitely worth a lot more than $1, in my opinion. Even with this crease on the grade, I mean, this crease will drop it down to like a. It's pretty significant. It's a significant crease. I'd say it drops it down to like a fine. Um, but other than that, it presents definitely better than a fine for sure. Now, I already have this book in a newsstand, but for $1, I'm not going to leave that there for sure. All right, moving on. So I mentioned I have Jim's entire everything he's ever worked on Uncanny. I have all the issues already. I have actually multiples on some of those issues. So I finished the Uncanny X-Men. I'm not looking to. Sorry, I'm not. Don't have anything more to pick up. So kind of where I'm focusing now is to get all the issues in that run by Jim in newsstands as well. So that's what we picked up. I mean, we picked up a lot of Jim. There were a lot of Jim Lee Uncanny X-Men in the dollar areas, but I didn't pick up any of those up unless it was a newsstand copy. And so we got 260 in a newsstand now. Um, this is where Dazzler gets a really crazy looking sort of a stalker, a fan. But a beautiful Jim Lee. Look at the signature here on this cover here, right? And Jim Lee getting creative, like it's in a red room, right, for film development, and he actually has his name on film. That's kind of cool. It would be cool to see Jim Lee appear like Stan Lee in the DC movies. How cool would that be? Just he does it like a series of cameos as himself or as some just random Asian dude, right? Like he's eating ramen at an Asian restaurant, like or he's like delivering mail or something like Stan used to do. If Jim did that for DC, that'd be hilarious. Um, Probably not the most well. It wouldn't be the most well received thing. I could see a lot of fans be like, "Why is he doing that? That's so tacky, lame." But I would, I would enjoy the f out of that if he did that. I'd be like, "Yeah," I'd be like, "He's doing that for the fans, the true fans, right? The hardcore fans." So um, that would be something I would love if DC did went that route. This next one is 264 newsstand. These are all high grade. I mean, definitely in the VF range. No major issues. This one, it could be near mint with a press. It's a white cover, so even these, if you could press out these spine ticks, it would be flawless. That's 276. This is always one of my favorite um, Wolverine covers here. Execution, newsstand, 276. So yeah, I'm not trying to pick up more doubles of this X-Men run unless they're newsstands now. So um, got kind of a lot of that run in newsstands already. So I don't think it'll be a big lift, but it's just something fun to hunt for. Um, if we run across Jim Lee, it's really hard to resist picking up something for $1, right? Because you think, man, that shouldn't be a dollar bin book. It should be like a key book because of his art. But now it gives us some parameters. It's like, if it's not a newsstand, we're not going to pick it up. So that's that. This is not a newsstand, but it's one of those things like if it's in high grade, which this is a 9.0 candidate, 9.0 or higher candidate, um, and it was sitting in the dollar bins. You just don't leave it there. It's X-Men 1. It's it's a key issue. It's just nostalgia. It's probably one of the biggest events in comic books in the 90s. So for sure, this is a pickup again for $1. You're not leaving something like that there. If it came in a newsstand, it'd be better, way better. But I don't actually have any newsstands of this in the one, and we definitely want them in newsstands for sure. All right, next one's a newsstand. This one's actually probably my best condition for X-Men 3. This is high grade for sure. But for $1, picking up X-Men 3, this is a great cover. It's just the team in action, fighting one another. You got great shot there, Psylocke. I love that Psylocke shot. That could just be a cover by itself, right? It's like, come here, Jane. Psylocke sort of has sort of a crush on Scott, and I think that that jealousy is manifests itself right there. All right, moving right along with the Jim Lee ads. This is again, newsstand key issue. It's the only reason I picked it up. It's actually kind of beat up. It's got spine ticks. It's got kind of rounded corners as well, but not too bad. It's my second copy. It's my third copy of Darker Image. It's my second newsstand copy. So this is the first appearance of Deathblow. I think Deathblow has the potential to be DC's Punisher. So I think there's a lot to spec on. That's just me. I think again, Deathblow is a great character. He's just sort of this like um, Punisher on steroids, essentially, right? So, and it's violent, and we all love violent stuff. So if DC were to bring basically their Punisher to the screen, I'm sure they'd make it super entertaining and violent. So, yeah, I've also got the direct version that's polybag still with the Deathblow card. That's kind of cool, right? 90s goodness, Lee back cover. This is just a great book. I think a lot of collectors should just have it. It's such an inexpensive book. It's a dollar bin book all day long. But it's a dollar bin book with really a lot of future potential should DC, in its formula to eventually integrate some Wildstorm characters, which they're already doing, right? They're bringing um, the Midnighter in, and the Midnighter will probably usher in the Wildcats. And if the Wildcats has any kind of legs, then all these Wildstorm characters are potential game. All right, this next book, also a dollar bin. So it was a $3 book, but we found, we got the bulk discount, so it ended up being $1. And that's my second copy. This is the second copy, but I would say it's as high grade as my first copy, if not better condition than my first copy. So I've got two high grade copies of Thundercats #2, the Jim Lee variant. Just love this line of cover by Jim. Just does such a good job capturing the essence of all his characters. Um, Beautiful, beautiful looking cover there. Thundercats, ho! So aside from like GI Joe, Transformers, um, He-Man, and all those like cartoons, Thundercats was another you watched Thundercats. You had to watch Thundercats. It's such a cool. Um, my favorite character was Tigra. He's sort of this acrobatic. What was his weapon again? His acrobatics. He had a staff or something like that. But it was just cool, cool as all heck. Um, but yeah, that was a great cartoon and show. So that's cool. All right. Kind of knocked off 4 issues from the Superman Unchained run, which I'm, again, it's Jim Lee. We're picking it up. So for $1, just figured the guy had it. It's all in high grade, so figured we'd pick it all up. Superman Unchained. Actually, this 7, the lady threw in just as a bonus. I don't know why she did it, but she's like, here, have this. You like Jim Lee Superman Unchained? Here's another one. So she threw in number 7 as a bonus. So we got 5, 7, 8, and 9. This is my favorite cover from what we picked up, and just a great example of that, of the Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair brand, DC brand, right? That's just a beautiful. You can't get any. Um, a comic book cover cannot be more well executed than this. You just can't get any better than that. Superman coming out of a fiery blaze, which he obviously initiated or caused with his X-ray vision on point. That is just so awesome. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Let's see. I definitely have a book of the haul, and this is my book of the haul because of the so for those of you guys who watch and follow me, I mention all the time the Korean concept of unmyeong. Unmyeong is really sort of, I guess, an East Asian concept, but whether you're Chinese or Japanese, we all believe in fate and destiny. That it's really a single through line, um, and it's something you don't have control over. Um, so it's kind of like it literally is like that Forrest Gump line, right? Like life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, right? But it's a little bit more nuanced than that, in the sense that you're on a path, and that path is you're gonna encounter things on that path, and those encounters are gonna set you on another path, but the path is continuous. It's always winding and going, you're going at different rates maybe, or you're going through peaks and valleys, but it's one path, and everything you experience is exclusive to you. And I really bring that unmyeong concept to the hunts. And this is what makes these videos and these haul videos and the hunt videos fun, because you never know what you're going to get. But sometimes you get what you really like, want and desire. That's the unmyeong effect. That's the unmyeong book. So this is not the unmyeong book I'm going to show off, but this is just a great example of the unmyeong concept. So um, when I've done my videos in the past, many people have commented or asked me, hey, why don't you have Alpha Flight 51, or why don't you have Samurai Santa #1? And these are sort of technically, they're both kind of first works of Jim Lee in comic books, right? Samurai Santa is his very first published artwork in the comic book industry, and Alpha Flight is his first full interior work for Marvel. Okay, So they're both significant books, and I'm nice that like those are two books I want. Don't get me wrong. Okay, they're two books I want. I just think in terms of Samurai Santa, it's gonna come to me and I'm gonna get it at the price I want. Not the price that's selling on eBay, not the price that most collectors charge for Samurai Santa. I'm gonna get it at my price. I'm gonna find it and pick it up. Um, because at the comic boom price, no, if I had bought it then, I'd be really regretting it now because that the book continues to fall in price. I could probably pick up a Samurai Santa, not a high grade book, but like a raw copy, um, for like 20 bucks, 20, $30 now, whereas it was going for like 50 to 100, um, in the pandemic boom, right? Um, and I kind of just, they're books I want, but they're kind of like, once you have them, that you feel like you've accomplished so much because you have the first art book stuff. So I've had multiple opportunities to pick up Alpha Flight number 51 for like 20 bucks, 15 bucks, even 10 bucks, but 10 bucks is kind of like a mid grade, whatever, not high grade copy. This one with a press is high grade. Um, yeah, definitely like nine in the nines. Again, with a press, it needs a press, but there's no creases, just they're just like pressable defects, just minor pressable defects. And that is Alpha Flight 51. So we paid $1 for this. This was in that $3. If you buy bulk, buy more than 10, you get it for $1 book. I got this one for $1, as well as all these Superman and Chained, right? Um, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, get the F out. It's finally come. Myung by Myung, the path of getting this book, it's finally come. And this is the first full interior work of Jim Lee. Got it for $1. It's high grade, just needs a press. Um, Beautiful looking book. So this could easily be the book of the hall. I could say $1, Jim Lee first interior artwork, full first interior. Um, that could easily be the book of the hall, but we're going to reserve book of the hall status for another book. Okay, but yes, this is definitely a big check off the list. And in terms of early Jim Lee Marvel, uh, yeah, in terms of early Jim Lee Marvel stuff, this is probably the biggest check, one of the biggest checks you can check off that list. So very happy to picked it up. Okay, the next couple of books we're gonna finish off with, um, yeah, we're gonna get into some signature books and stuff and some other books. But before we get into that, um, this one we picked up at Future Past Vintage Collectibles, Dave and uh, his brother's table. And again, go check them out. Um, Dave and his daughter Rachel uh, do a channel. It's one of the best channels on YouTube. Uh, they talk about different topics in comic books. They are always focused on, talk about runs, artists. Hey, what's up, K-pop? Thanks for hanging out and coming on. What up? Um, so David, go check out David and Rachel against Future Past Vintage Collectibles. You're gonna fall in love with their content. It's great stuff, and again, they're both just really cool people, very knowledgeable about comic books and really trusted sellers. So if you want to go on one of their Instagram live sales or um, buy from them at a convention, they're local to Washington. So if you're local here, you'll definitely have an opportunity to buy them. They're kind of up north, so I uh, can't really head out there all that often. But I've run into them at the last two cons I've been to this year, so really fortunate to have that have them close. Um, but yeah, this we pulled from his $3 bin, but because we bundled it up, we ended up getting for 250, and it's a low grade copy. I would put this in the 3.5 3.0 range. It's still attached, just got a really ratty spine, got some fairly long creases there, but they're not terrible. It could stand to improve with the press, but again, the color breaks aren't going to improve necessarily. But we got a key book here, second appearance of Parasite, but it's just really beautiful Neil Adams work, classic Neil Adams work. One of my one of the Action Comic books we've been hoping to add for quite some time. That's Action Comics. Was it 361, and beautiful Neil Adams cover there. Power of the Parasite. You got Superman with two black eyes. I gave you two black eyes, Superman. Now I'm gonna bust your nose. So just feel real fortunate to have picked this one up for $1, and then this one up for 250. So we got a lot of value. As you can see, of the 50 books, everything I love what I picked up, but as we've gone progressively to the more meaningful books in my collection, these two definitely will stand out as like very meaningful additions to the collection. Okay. What's up, Kelly? What up, Kelly? Oh, that must have been awesome. He is an amazing artist, man. David Finch. Man, is that guy good. Awesome. I gotta go check. Did you do it on the channel? Or did you just hung out with him like in your hood? All right, well, I'm assuming it's the channel, but if you hung out with him like at his house or something, that's all right, Callie. We're not done yet, all right? Oh, okay. He had a panel on dynamic covers, and it was so much fun. Awesome, awesome. I gotcha. That's cool. Did you capture some of it? I'm sure. I'll check it out if you get around to editing the video. I'm sure I'll check it out. That sounds like that was a lot of fun. Yeah, again, David Finch, man, just one of the top artists in the game, right? Such dynamic art, and in terms of cover, I can't think of like. There's a couple people um, who are just their covers sell books. I mean, you can't really um, have that moniker for every artist. Not every artist is gonna hit it out of the park on every cover that they do, but like if like you got David Finch working on a book or David Finch doing a cover, you're gonna get like top notch friggin' awesomeness. Oh, lucky you, man. What's he working on? I mean, he's worked on like everything, right? Like both DC, Marvel. I'm just curious if he's still doing Marvel stuff or he's doing more DC stuff now. Maybe he's doing something independent. I don't know. Do you know? Walking Dead. Get out of here. Awesome. David Finch. Oh, I gotta check that out now. Oh man, got to hang out with David Finch. Lucky you. All right. we're going to get into signature books now before we get to the book of the hall. Okay, so we got a couple more books left. We're going to do signature books. So the next three books are not, I didn't pick them up at Grid City Comic Show or Destiny City Comics. These three books, or I should say four books, were gifted to me by Namyan Young, aka Comic Book Worm, aka Naman the Read Man, or the Naman the Draw Man. Um, Finch has a Kickstarter coming out soon. Awesome. Ooh. Ooh, is it like an artist collection type deal? Artist edition type thing? Oh, he's doing that as a Kickstarter? That's insane. So many people are going to do that. Oh my goodness. All right, well, we're gonna have to look up what the entry point on that is, but geez, yeah, it's gonna go through the roof. So like artists like that at that level should not be doing Kickstarters. It's just like wrong because it's gonna like it's gonna skyrocket the project. But no, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that info. Go check it out. Go check out David Finch's Kickstarter project. It sounds like he's going to do some kind of Marvel Artist Edition, like exclusive Artist Edition, um, which would be insane because he's done so many uh, great runs of books from Marvel. That's incredible. All right, so these next four books were gifted to me by Comic Book Worm. If you haven't, first of all, if you're following me, I know you're following Comic Book Worm. We're just kind of he's my bro. Um, really, one of my closest friends in this great comic book community. And anytime I get a chance to meet with him in person, this is I think our third meeting in person, second or third meeting in person, and it's been great. We always meet up, talk comics, talk life, talk politics, um, and yesterday was no different. We rode down. I drove down us down to Tacoma. We met early in the morning, and he's a little bit older than I am. I think uh, he's pretty much like a comic age outside of where he grew up in the Bronze Age collecting Bronze Age stuff. I grew up in the Copper Age collecting Copper Age stuff. So that kind of gives you our age frame or context of our relationship in terms of aging. Um, so he got to the con, and we were both focused on here. We plopped ourselves down in front of the dollar bin books so nobody could disturb us, and we looked through like 4 or 5 bins of dollar bin books. But I was done. I dug through them. I was done. I was like, okay, I'm going to move on. And he was going to stay and just continue to look for books because there's a lot of Bronze Age in there. He's such an awesome guy. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, couldn't agree more. He's awesome. But again, I he was going at a slower pace than I was, so I kind of said, "Young, I'm going to leave you to it." And I just went and ran around the comic show, picking up these great books, looking for digging the dollar bins, um, and awesome. Um, so there were anyway. It was a great day with Nam and Young, and then we went and got dinner after all the comic stuff. We went and got Korean food, and so Nam and Young is going to post a video of the whole day soon. Oh yeah, why not? Plushies. I'm all for you making plushies for kids. What would be the problem with that? Um, so yeah, he's gonna put out that video. We had Korean food, and I drove him home. But it's always a great time with him. And he kind of I didn't have any older siblings. I just have a younger sister. Um, but it's always nice to have someone older who you look up to and kind of like um, can lean on for advice or whatever. Because raised some he's raised some magnificent children. He has a great family relationship, and you know, just he's he's really really smart. So I really respect that about him. And again, um, kind of look to him as a big brother type figure. So I had a great day, but he's older and he kind of had to rest. He didn't get to as many vendors. He just kind of did a slower type um, dig and haul, which is fine. But uh, we weren't staying together. He kind of stayed in a few locations, and I was just running around the comic show looking for stuff. But eventually, we we ended our hunts and uh, went to another comic shop, and then ended the day, and then went online last night and talked about it. So if you caught the show last night, you'll know that for all these books that I'm showing off, you'll have seen them already. But I'm going to go over what he gifted to me. So he gifted me 4 books, and these are books that um, during like interviews and stuff, like people we've interviewed. And go vote for us, by the way. I think we're up for best comic, uh, what is it, collaboration, like small channel collaboration on the CBCA awards, or sorry, Comic Book Community Awards. I think we've got about a week or so left to voting. So if you haven't voted yet, please consider us for voting us for the award. I don't know how much longer we can maintain and do that, but hopefully we can continue on and bring in good people to interview and continue to make that happen. But even if we don't, uh, he and I are just going to continue to be in each other's lives because he's just moved literally 10 minutes away from where I live now. I mean, talk about Woon Myung. Here's a guy that I met online during the pandemic, and he ends up being pretty much like my next door neighbor. It's like it's weird how Woon Myung works sometimes. But comic books brought us together, and these are gifted by him. So I always cherish anything he gifts me. And we'll start here with um, Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. This is the first interior artwork on Spider-Man by Greg LaRocque, the legend Greg LaRocque. And this is a signed copy of, again, Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man 63. I don't think this is his cover, but it's, again, his interior work that's significant. So, love to have this, add this to my collection. As you know, we interviewed Greg LaRocque, um, and Hyung has a great relationship with him. He's also Dustin Knows Comics' adopted father. So it's, yeah, he's just an incredible artist. And if you have an opportunity to say hi to him at a show or get a comic sign, please do so. Uh, just a great, legendary artist, both at DC. Hey, what's up? What's up, straight out of Ben Compton? Um, He's just a great community. Sorry, he's a great legendary artist, but he's also connected to our community. Um, and so I would hope you would support him if you do run into him at a con. Please say hi. All right, the next are also people we've interviewed, and Hyung was very generous to get these signature books from their websites. And first we got John Boy Myers. It's just a sick aliens cover right there. Look at that, signed by John Boy himself. Love that. We've also got uh, David Nakayama doing my favorite female superhero, and that's Psylocke. We got another incredible Psylocke collection that we're adding to the collection. Hellions 10 variant edition by DNA, Mr. David Nakayama. Um, oh God, this is just, it's like you kind of want to just sleep with this cover. If there wasn't a risk of rolling on top of it and just creasing the F out of it, I would sleep with this cover because it's just so freaking sexy with a PS. Whew, look at that beauty. Man, Nakayama killing it right there with that cover. All right. The other book Naman Hyung gifted me is, um, as you know, Ryan Odagawa is a friend of the channel. Ryan Odagawa uh, worked for Wildstorm in the 90s. Jim Lee hired him, so he got his start from Jim Lee, essentially. And he's just an amazing community member and artist. If you see him, please support him at the shows. Say hi to him as well. But he worked on this book here with Mike Grell. He did the artwork. Mike Grell wrote the story. It's Invisible Iron Man. What is this, number 53? Sorry, not Invisible, Invincible Iron Man 53. And we have a dual signature by Mike Grell and Ryan Odagawa. This is a key book because I think it's the first appearance of Friday, um, who again makes an appearance in the movies, so that makes it key. But for me, it's key because again, we love Ryan. He's a friend of the channel, um, just a great guy, and Mike Grell, legendary artist as well. I love that Grell signature. It's freaking awesome. But this was not easy book to coordinate, so he went to a lot of trouble to get the book, mail it to Ryan to sign, and then go to the con to get Mike's signature. So a lot of moving parts on this. So I really appreciate all the effort that went into getting this copy signed for me. So thanks, Young. You're the best. All right. We've got a couple more books, and then we're going to get to my book of the hall. This next one, so the next two books, we paid more than $1 for. So everything else pretty much here was $1 or $1.50, or actually we paid $2.50 for two of the books, right? So we didn't pay more than $2.50 for most of these books, and for pretty much the majority, like 99% of what I've shown so far, everything was $1. Um, but this book, I saw it and I was like, wait, how much is that book? And the guy's like, $4. I was like, I'll take it. And what we have is, it's not in the best shape. It's not like it's wrinkled or anything, but it was just red. It's kind of tattered here and there. It's a black cover, so everything, like every little minute uh, defect is just gonna pop. But what we have is a trade paperback. I'm just gonna assume it's first edition, first print of the Batman: A Death in the Family, and obviously it was read by whoever got this book signed. It was read, and the guy said, "Oh, Jim Starlin's coming. Let me take my read copy and get signed by him." And then it ended up in this guy's collection, Pride Prideland Comics. This collection, that's where we got it. So Jim Starlin signed Batman: A Death in the Family, all four collector's issues in this sort of like trade paperback. What's interesting about this paper stock inside, this is just what you had in the late 80s, um, is the, and this is, it, you find it in the Death of Superman collected, the trade paperback as well, is the actual news uh, print, the comic book interior paper quality ending up in this like collected edition. They didn't change that. So you basically have a comic book, like comic book pages, what you would have in a comic book, bound in this sort of like thicker book. Not the best production quality or value, but definitely speaks to the age of the book. And I prefer it that way actually, because it's like, wow, you're like kind of like get that comic book feel as you're turning the pages. But everybody knows this, so if you grew up in my era and collecting this was a huge event. Death in the Family was a huge event because of first how violent it was. Like Todd gets basically beaten by a crowbar by the Joker, and then they toss it to the fans like, "Hey, Jason, you get to decide. Does Jason Todd live or die?" And Starlin had two alternate endings: one where Jason Todd lives and one where Jason Todd dies. And the fans got to pick the fate. We're talking about fate all day, all night long tonight. Woon Myung all night. And here's one where Woon Myung was uh, decided by um, the public. So they had this phone number you dial if you wanted him to live. There was a phone number you dialed if you wanted him to die. And they tallied up the votes. And apparently it was rigged. Like somebody apparently like voted multiple times for him to die or something. But yeah, he died. And so the issue where he dies, it's this great cover of him, like Jason Todd. It's a Mike Mignola cover of Jason Todd just like, I'm doing this, right? And yeah, I remember reading it and being like, man, that sucks. Like Robin's dead. And just it was like that period of DC was super dark. Like there was just a lot of dark things going on because of the Joker and just the way they created the character and like villains in Arkham Asylum just being super like horror, like psycho killer horror-y. Um, but it was fun. It was again great book, great memories. Now DC just announced they're going to publish the alternate ending. So fans never got to read the alternate ending of Jason Todd living. I just think it's brilliant that they're doing this now. It's a little bit of like a ray of hope. Kind of like, oh yeah, you made the wrong choice, back in the late '80s, but we're gonna see what making the right choice would have looked like, right? And so I think it's great. Again, they're gonna publish that. It's probably gonna spark a lot of interest in picking up these back issues. But definitely, I am looking forward to doing that. Uh, I picked up the Death. but I want to pick up all four now. I just got two more issues to go, but this trade paperback book signed by Starlin is definitely a good start to doing that. Great Aparo artwork here on this cover, and yeah, uh, just Aparo does the interior work, so it's just one of the classic books from this era, I think. So for $4, getting this signed copy was a no-brainer. Jim Starlin signed. Now I just got to get up Jim Aparo's signature and we're done. Um, One thing I wish Starlin would have done was like maybe signed it in white, somewhere like here or something, but that works. The black on the Batman works as well. Cool book to add. All right. Um, Thanks for hanging out, guys. We're getting to the book of the haul. Um, I got two more books to show off, then we're going to show off the book of the haul. Okay. So, uh, Destiny City Comics is my local LCS, and it's more so my local LCS now that Ancient Comics has shut its doors. It's my LCS of choice. Now, I say that um, because, with a grain of salt, because really my local LCS is Milky Comics. Milky Comics is my local LCS just because of the proximity to where it's located. It's got the 50-cent bins, and it's just about, I want to say it's about a 20-minute drive from where I live. But if distance were not an issue, it would definitely be Destiny City Comics because they also have a lot of great value. They got a dollar bin, but you can get back issues there for really reasonable value there. So, and plus Ethan's great. He's got a great bookshop there. He's a great owner. It's a great vibe, and he puts all everything that comes in the shop. He puts up on his Instagram, so you have a chance to claim it, have it shipped to you, or have him hold it and you go pick it up. So I was looking on his website prior to Grid City Comic Show just to see because we're going to be in Tacoma, right? I don't get too many opportunities to drive. It's an hour's drive. There's traffic on the weekend, so it's not something you necessarily want to do. But because I was going to be in Tacoma for the show anyway, I figured, okay, let's see if he has any books. Um, he needs to update his Instagram case because there's like, I want this book, I want this book, and he's like, sorry, those sold already. So he's like, ah. But there's one book that didn't sell, and I claimed it. We got it for $8. This is the book that I paid the most for during in the day. We paid $8 for it, but I love it. It's high grade. It's signed, and well, let me first before we show the signed book off. This other book was sitting in his uh, $1 bin. Now it's a great looking book. It doesn't look like it's low grade at all, but it's got one little chip in the corner, and the staples are barely hanging on. It's like one of those books that's just like this. It's almost detached, but it's just like a little bit of the staple ends are what's holding this cover. Fortunately, it's never going to get open ever again, so it's just going to stay like that. But we have Amazing Spider-Man 337, Eric Larson. I love this classic Eric Larson cover, the new Sinister Six, right? Um, it's just a classic cover, and you got Doc Ock right there at the center of all the action. Really classic cover. I feel like Eric Larson just doesn't get enough credit for his work. Um, he's just one of the. He was just one of the um, top artists at Marvel when that transition happened. So um, this cover is just a testament to that. So hopefully we can get this signed by Larson at some point. But I do have a signed Larson book now, and that's this. Yeah, if you follow me, you know I love Doc Ock covers. I love Doc Ock, the characters. So anytime you get a Doc Ock Spidey cover, that's gold for me. And this one, again, you can't see it because it's in a bag and it's in this thing, but it's high grade. It's you know, definitely slab worthy. But again, it's got the Eric Larson signature there, which is why we got the book for $8. So I got finally got a Larson signature in my collection. It's a beautiful book. Um, just love it. Love that. Love it. All right, we're finally at the end. I'm going to reveal my uh, Unmyeong book, my uh, book of the Hall. Okay, now if you go back and watch my sort of Grid City comic show preparation video where I go over what we're going to be hunting, what we're on the lookout for, what we want to pick up, what we hope to pick up. I go through like a list of books that I wanted. One of the books that I was really intently focused on, and really a big reason I kept running around looking for it, was I was really confident going in that we'd find Classic X-Men 39, I believe. Let me just check the number on that. I believe it's 39. You're probably asking me, or at the Otaku, why are you going after Classic X-Men 39? Yeah, it's 39. Um, Classic X-Men 39 is a reprint of X-Men 133, and 133 is the great. It's the first solo cover of Wolverine in the yellow suit on Uncanny, where he's, you know, fighting off all those the guards. Uh, so it's a classic issue, but Classic X Men is what introduced me to X Men when I was growing up as a kid, and Classic X Men was great because you had all these Cockrum, Byrne, Claremont reprints, um, but what Classic X Men did, they weren't strictly reprints. What they did was they added new artwork and new stories that would enhance what you were reading. So it was adding nuance and context, additional context to the story that people already know, right? Um, and in some instances, you'd have like a secondary story that followed, so to give you like sort of like epilogue or um, something that followed up whatever happened in that story, particular story. Um, so it's really sort of like a reprint slash like extra DVD content type stuff, like, you know, like bonus features on a DVD. And so I think it's really a run that doesn't get enough credit. It's got great covers. It's a fairly long and consistent run, and again, it's just it adds more. Uh, it adds more depth to what you already love from the Byrne, Claremont, or Cochran uh, classic runs. Classic X Men 39 is that great classic reprint, but it also adds an original Jim Lee art uh, in the interior. So it's a story. Jim Lee does the art for that story. Again, it's Wolverine, right? It's Jim Lee, early Wolverine. So for me, that's like, I gotta have that. And I've had many opportunities to pick it up. I even had an opportunity to pick up like it for a quarter. Um, it's just I didn't realize I didn't even realize it was had Jim Lee interior art until recently. So it's just only come up on my radar as of late. So I'm just like, man, this is a book I have to have. Once I knew that fact, because I love classic X Men again. Like I don't pick too much of it up because it's I'm trying to pick up those for under $1 if I can because it's a dollar bin book. You shouldn't pay more than $1 for it, but it's a great run to read and have in your collection. I think just especially if you grew up in my collecting era, but also if you just want reprints of things you can't afford. So it's a great way to have a nice run and collection without having to spend hundreds of dollars on the original uh, books from that era. So we looked all over for classic X-Men 39, couldn't find it. Went to Destiny City Comics, couldn't find it. Went to a third shop in Federal Way called what's it called? I forget the name. I'm really bad with names. I think I want to say it's like Action City Comics or something like that, but it's probably wrong. But anyway, we went there. Was the guy didn't have it. The guy didn't have the Wonder Woman Jim Lee cover. I think was it 750 Wonder Woman 750. Didn't have that. So it's kind of like there were disappointments. There were things we didn't find. That being the biggest disappointment. The classic X-Men 39. Um, so we came out of Grit City. I was kind of dejected because there were two books I was looking for that we couldn't find, and I was like, well, let's go to Destiny City, pick up my book, and dig through the dollar bins. And I, at that point, I had kind of lost hope. I had this sort of lingering hope that it could be there. We looked through their classic X-Men bin, it wasn't there. And after that, I was just like, probably not going to find it. But as I was digging through the dollar bins, there was another book I was hoping to find just as intently as that X-Men 39. These were the two top books that I was looking for. So X-Men 39 being one, the other being this beautiful cover by Jim Lee. And we found it in the dollar bin at Destiny City Comics. And it's not only is it an Young book, because again, I went into the show. If you go back and watch that video, I mentioned this is the book I'm looking for, along with X-Men 39. These were the two books top of mind in the show as we are digging. Again, Grit City didn't have it. I was for sure certain that we could probably find at least one or two of these books. We didn't find any of them. But at Destiny City, we found it. And that is, sorry for the suspense, added suspense. That is Isn't She Lovely? I posted this as a reel on my Instagram with the song, Stevie Wonder song, Isn't She Lovely? it's, it's hilarious. Anyway, that's how I entertain myself. No, but in all seriousness, um, all of you know, it's not that I love She. I don't think for me she is great. Well, I'm not great. I had I read She. Um, I actually bought She number one, read it and hated it. I was like, she's a horrible character. Um, so I didn't. After reading that, I was like, I'm not collecting or picking up She. I don't like She. Um, but again, just like X-Men 39, it recently came to my attention that Jim Lee had done a cover on a crossover. So it was an Image crossover with She called Grifter She, and I loved Grifter. Okay, but what I love even more is this great artwork by Jim Lee. It's just, oh my god, it's a dollar bin book, but the art is priceless. Look at that. Look at that cover, man. That's just Jim Lee grade A 90s goodness right there. Okay. Thanks, Roughhouse. You guys would appreciate that. So this is the book of the haul. And again, go back and watch that video. It's like I go through the list. I'm like, this is what we're hunting for. This is what we hope to find. And I literally like when I ran across Grifter She number 2 in the bin. I was like, Grifter She number 2, come on, you gotta be kidding me. And it was like a Stanley Tucci cover, just an ugly piece of crap. I was like, man, you gotta be kidding me. No number 1? I was like, somebody probably took number 1, right? But I kept digging and boom, we got it. So they had the number 1 in there along with number 2. I didn't pick up number 2 because the Tucci cover is just garbage. But man, this one, it's a keeper. It's the book of the haul. It's your OTG book of the comic haul from Grid City Comics and Comic Show and Destiny City Comics. If Jim Lee had done She, I probably would have been okay with the story. But with the Tucci art and that just garbage story, I was like, no way, I'm not gonna get into She. The woman warrior, whatever she's called. But yeah, so there you go. That was our sort of a detailed look at the haul. Spent $60 on this haul here. So more than happy. And I just love everything I picked up, to be honest. Some of it's low grade, like this book, right? But it presents like gold, so never gonna leave the collection. Got that signed book, so just so much value, so much stuff that I love. Things that we've been meaning to add to the collection just came through. $1 for that book, man. $1. Absolutely insane. So glad I didn't pull the trigger on it for like 15 back in the day, right? I was just like, I'm not paying 15 for that, but not that I don't think it's worth 15. I think it is, but I'm just like, for me, like it's if there's a possibility to find it for 5 or 3, that's probably better. But to find it for $1, it's insane. $1, come on. I know 90% of you, if you've found this for $1, you pick it up. So that's just a no-brainer as well. All right, guys. It's going to be Thanksgiving soon, so and the holidays are just around the corner. So wishing everybody happy holidays. Please create those warm memories with your family members. Be nice to your family members. Yeah, they get on your nerves, I know, and not all of us have the most positive, relationships with our family, but hopefully, you'll just take some time. The holidays are a great opportunity to just kind of be the bigger person if it requires, or just initiate a good start to whatever's going on in your life. Maybe you guys are fine, but whatever is going on, hopefully you take a pause during the holidays to just focus on people in your lives and try to better those relationships, because at the end of the day, we still all care about each other, right? Why not come across in the most positive or uh, nurturing, positive, nurturing, loving way? But um, nobody's perfect, so let's just keep that in mind and be nice to each other. Be nice to Santa Claus, and uh, be nice to all the Santa's helpers that are at the mall this Christmas. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Otaku out. Bye.